Hello, Dominic. Nice to see you again.
Hi, same to you.
So here is a copy of the agenda for today.
Okay.
So you can look that over if you'd like. So last week, for our session, we talked about replacement behavior.
Yeah.
For when Michael exhibited some spitting during meal times. How has that been going?
It's going well. He's not spitting as much and he's saying no.
Perfect. That's awesome. Good to hear. Well, this week, our new program that we are going to be teaching Michael is called Touch His Own Body Parts. So it's part of the receptive language domain. It's going to be working on Michael's receptive language and body awareness. So he'll have to listen to an instruction and follow that instruction. So let's say it's touch nose. He'll have to touch his nose and listen to that instruction. So he's receptively responding to the instruction. So for this program, it'll be best to teach it at the table, so like we are right now. It'd be best if there was no material on the table, kind of like right now too, just so that it's not distracting for him. Also, it would be best to sit as we are right now in a 90-degree angle, so that if he needs prompting, which he probably will, you're able to still
get in there.
Physically prompt him if necessary. So first we're going to be starting with 2 to 3 body parts. So for today we'll just talk about head. So he'll have to touch his head.
Yeah.
So to begin this program, you will ensure that he's sitting at the table, and you'll provide the demand or command or wording, which will be touch your head.
Yeah.
And so you'll make sure he has, you have his attention, and then say, touch your head. And he probably won't respond, in which case you will then prompt him to touch his head. And then, so that's error correcting his error, and then you'll reinforce once he has touched his head.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the error correction procedure. So first you will, you'll say the command, so touch your head, and then he won't respond, so you'll say touch your head and give
the instruction,
that prompt, and then say good, that's touching your head. And for example, if the cell phone was the reinforcer, you would provide the reinforcer immediately.
Okay.
And then he would have that, and then you could do it again. So then take the reinforcer and do it again, and then you would say the same thing. So touch your head, and then instead of doing a full physical, he might only need the partial.
Okay.
So that's called fading your prompt. So it's going from most, so the most intrusive, which was hand over hand physical, to least, which would be like gestures or pointing. So like I would like point to his head. And then that would lead to independent. So he would just not need any prompt at all. Okay. So that's the prompting procedure and the error correction. And then the reinforcement, that'll be for you and Michael to decide that day. So you'd have to do a preference assessment, which we've already talked about, in order to determine what is most reinforcing for him that day. All right, well, is it okay if I model this on you for now?
Sure.
Okay, and then after that we will do, you can do a run through of it, practicing, and then I'll do a performance assessment, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
So I made sure the table is all clear, nothing distracting us.
Yeah.
Touch your head. Touch your head. Good, that's touching your head. All right, my turn. Touch your head. Good, that's touching your head. Alright, so that's fading the prompt.
Yeah.
And basically that's all that you'll be doing. So you'll provide the command and then prompt the response until he's able to do it independently. So just continue to fade that, just as I did.
Yeah.
And then he will do it independently. So do you have any questions about that?
No. Not at the moment.
Okay. Well, you can have your turn now.
Okay.
And I will...
Am I reinforcing?
There you go.
So I clear the table.
Yeah.
I get your attention. And touch your head. Touch your head. That's touching your head. Touch your head. Touch your head. That's touching your head. Touch your head. Good. That's touching your head. Touch your head. Good. That's touching your head.
Alright, so that was pretty good. Let me just... So you cleared the table, 90 degree. You provided the SD touch your head in a clear voice. You prompted. You did provide reinforcement right away, so that was good. For the next one, the only feedback I would have was that you didn't fade, you did full physical again, which perhaps Michael would need that full physical again, but only do full physical if you see that he's not starting to move. So then you would just do the partial that you did do afterwards. And then also when you're first teaching, it would be best to provide reinforcement after each one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there was that one time where you didn't provide reinforcement for me. So do you have any more questions?
So I reinforce every time?
For when you're teaching, yes. Eventually, once you have more programs and skills and targets, then you won't have to. You'll put him on a variable ratio, which means that after he wouldn't know when he was getting reinforced. So it would be maybe after every an average of every 5. So like let's say you did 2. You did it after the second time, and then the next time you would do it after the 5th time, and then the next time you would do it after the 3rd time. So it's always an average.
It works out to every 5.
To an average of 5.
Okay.
So that's how you can do it eventually, but for now we're just going to concentrate on this. All right. So, do you feel comfortable trying again?
Okay. Yeah, we can try that again. I think.
So you'll implement it again.
Touch your head. Touch your head. Good. That's touching your head. Touch your head. Touch your head. There you go. That's touching your head.
So that was better. You definitely provided the reinforcement appropriately that time.
Mm-hmm.
The only other feedback I would give to you would be to when you were doing the prompt the second time, you need to say the command, so the touch your head, and then provide like immediately after.
Yeah.
You did it at the exact same time. So I would do it just to allow him, if he was going to do it independently, then he had the chance to. But besides that, that was excellent.
Okay.
So that was great. So that's it for today's session. I'd like you to continue to practice this, and you can start trying to teach him this program. And I would say do it 3 times a day.
Okay.
But only like, yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, it was nice seeing you again.
You too. Thank you.